Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Ashmit Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. India grows 6.2% in the third quarter. The government pegs growth for the full fiscal at 6.5%. CA Anant Nageswaran says 7.6% growth will be needed in the fourth quarter to reach the FY25 target. Adds that incremental factors will help India navigate growth in the face of uncertainty. Brutal cuts on the Lal Street as Sensex plunges 1,400 points and Nifty drops to its lowest since June of 2024. Over 9 lakh crore rupees worth of investor wealth is wiped out in a single day. Market records its biggest weekly fall of 2025, with 20 lakh crore rupees in market cap being erased over 4 sessions. CA Anant Nageswaran says that parabolic gains that the stock market saw between July and October of last year are being unwound. After the RBI, SEBI also gets a Finance Ministry bureaucrat, Finance Secretary Tuhin Kanta Pandey, to take over from Madhvi Puri Butch, who ends an efficient but tumultuous 3-year tenure at the market regulator. Prime Minister Modi meets European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi, sets the ball rolling on an India-EU free trade agreement. Prime Minister Modi says that both sides to work on realizing the FTA by 2025 end. Von der Leyen says that modern version of the great power competition is an opportunity for Europe and India to reimagine their partnership. Hopes of a higher interest rate on Provident Fund deposits are dashed. The EPFO board recommends keeping the interest rate for FY25 unchanged at 8.25%. Ukraine President Zelensky to meet President Trump at the White House. The US president hints at signing a Ukraine deal that would offer America easy access to a bonanza of rare earth minerals. Speaking to reporters earlier, Trump said, and I quote, "We will be digging." An Israeli delegation heads to Cairo to resume talks with Hamas on the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire. One person was killed in an Israeli drone strike in South Gaza's Rafah. The Israeli army said it carried out a drone attack in southeastern Lebanon overnight, killing a Hezbollah member. 32 of 57 road construction workers who were trapped under snow as an avalanche hit Uttarakhand's Chamoli district have been rescued. Poor visibility disrupt rescue operations. Well, here's the top story this evening. India's GDP grew at 6.2% in the third quarter of this fiscal. This was in line with our estimates at the CNBC-TV18. Now, the GDP numbers for the last 2 quarters were also revised. With this, the government now is forecasting FY25 growth to come in at 6.5%. Lata Venkatesh is joining us now with more on the GDP data. Lata.
Well, the GDP numbers should be considered very positive because it's an across-the-board upward revision. What we have seen is, although the third quarter GDP number has come at 6.2%, the quarter ago number, that is the previous third quarter, has been revised sharply higher by about 60,000 crores from something like 39.9 lakh crore. That number has been revised higher to 40.6 lakh crore. So over 60,000 crore revision. On top of it, if the number has come as we forecast, as our poll forecast at 6.2%, it clearly means that growth has been stronger than what economists anticipated. But the exhilarating part is several previous year numbers have been revised and revised much higher. 22-23 was originally expected to have grown at 7%. The GDP now is forecasted, is estimated at 7.6%. But last year, 23-24, the original estimate was 8.2%. Now the estimate is 9.2%. So much stronger than we thought. And over that strong number, the current year is seen growing at 6.5%. The January estimate was 6.4%. So we should consider this a very good set of numbers. The key contributor to the third quarter, which we are concentrating on, is agriculture. At 5.6%, the growth is much better than the CNBC-TV18 forecast, which is about 4.3%. What would be the negatives? You may squabble a bit about the fact that manufacturing has come in at just about a little over 3%. Construction also not as strong as our poll threw up. But, the way in which numbers are revised higher, it's quite possible that these also will be revised higher. Just one final point. The fourth quarter now, because the full year is expected at 6.5, and the first 3 quarters are only throwing up a number of 6.1 average, the asking rate for the fourth quarter is almost 6.9. Most economists believe that is perhaps not possible. And therefore, they expect that the full year number will not come to 6.5, which the MOSPI is forecasting. Maybe it will be a tad lower. But nevertheless, the overall takeaway from today's GDP numbers is that the economy is growing a tad faster than we feared, especially in the current year. The second quarter number, which was 5.4, has now been revised higher to 5.6. So growth not as bad as the market feared.
Yes, there are factors which are continuing from Q3, but there are incrementally at the margin, there are some good developments such as very significant pickup in government capex, the additional expenditure that we are seeing happening because of the footfalls in the Kumbh, and as well as the good export performance that we have been seeing. So I think in general, while the continuing quote unquote negative factors, which some of you have alluded to from the second and the third quarter, while they are there, they're not incremental factors, but we have incremental positive factors which are making a good case for this implied growth of 7.6% being attained in the fourth quarter.
The CA there, Anant Nageshwaran, speaking of the incremental factors. Now, as we speak of those factors, the production growth in India's 8 key infrastructure sectors grew by 4.6% year-on-year in January. This was slightly slower than the 4.8% growth that was recorded in December. January marks the 5th consecutive month of growth for core sector output. The performance of key sectors were mixed, with energy-related industries facing slowdowns. Well, now let's talk about the other big story of the day, the carnage on the Lal Street. It was a day of brutal cuts, and 9 lakh crore rupees of investor wealth has been wiped out in just a single session. Nifty plunged to its lowest level since June of 2024, and the Sensex dropped over 1,400 points over the course of just this one day. Now, 15 of 50 Nifty stocks hit a 52-week low today. This has brought to an end what has been the worst week of the year for Indian equities. Over the week, which consisted of just 4 trading sessions, nearly 20 lakh crore rupees of investor wealth has been wiped off. That means that nearly 50% of the weekly market cap erosion took place in just one session, and that's today. Now, with this, the Nifty is down about 6% in the first 2 months of this year. CNBC-TV18's Prashant Nair is joining us more on the day's trading action, the week that has been. Prashant, clearly not fun and games here as far as Indian equities are concerned. What more are you seeing on your radar?
A big red Friday. I think that's how you describe the day today. And a very, very sobering reminder that markets sometimes just sort of go one way on the downside this time without very many bids at all. And that essentially has been the problem. While many have been saying, well, it's too late to sell, the problem is that there are no buyers really out there for stocks. Maybe, some nibbling here and there. The Nifty up on your screen tells that story. The Nifty Bank will come up as well up on your screens now. Mid-cap and small-cap indices, of course, have really taken it hard today and this week as well. Very quickly, and we've been doing this stock taking. Again, the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger. So from the highs, as the graphics tell you, Nifty is down about 16% now. Nifty Bank is down about 11%. Mid-cap index has lost 21% of its value, and the small-cap index is down, has lost about 0.25%. That's about 25% from the all-time highs. Again, from the highs, where have we seen the maximum damage? Real estate as an index has lost 31%. The PSU Bank index has lost 30%. CPSCs, the PSU space is down 30%, and oil and gas is down about 29% as well. I just want to make a quick mention of the IT services index, because that actually was the big damage. For the week, Friday to Friday, with a holiday in between, that index lost about 8%. And that was holding on so far. 2 weeks back, that index was down about 8% or so from the highs. But now it's kind of fallen in line, lesser than many other sectors, but it's down about 18% or so. And the stocks tell you the story. So this is The Nifty IT stocks on the weekly damage, Tech Mahindra down 10, Wipro down 9, TCS down 8, HCL Tech down 7, Infosys down about 7% or so. I'll just quickly run through some stocks here as well. In the large caps, mid caps, small caps, of course, you can assume the damage is far higher. And this is since the highs we saw. The date I've used is the top for the NSE 500, which is 29th of November 2024. So Trent has lost about 41% of its value. Hero is down 38%. Bajaj, Tata Motors in the 37% range. More consumer names, Asian Paints down 34%, IndusInd Bank, Power Grid, NTPC, Coal India, and Adani Ports as well, which is down about 26% or so. The new thing, here, of course, we've been under a fair bit of pressure, but the new thing is, of course, the US market, the big market, which has been so far holding out, but concerns seem to be emerging.
Right, Prashant, thanks so much for that. Now, in what comes as the government's first market reaction to the market's underperformance, the CA, Anant Nageshwaran, said that parabolic gains that the stock market saw between July and October of last year are being unwound currently.
FPI flows, because of profit taking, the Indian stock market went almost parabolic between July 24 and October 2024, and those parabolic gains are now currently being unwound in the marketplace, and part of it is either due to or because either due to the FPI flows or FPI outflows or a consequence of this. So there is a two-way relationship between the two, and as we speak today, we notice that the US stock market is significantly down, and the Indian market today has reflected that as well. But as a recent commentator, one of the long-standing observers of the Indian market, Mr. Chris Wood of Jefferies, earlier he used to be in CLSA, and he has said that from a long-term perspective, he continues to remain very positive on Indian stocks, and the growth numbers we have seen, including the revisions to previous years, validates the point he makes, which is about the long-term attractiveness of the Indian market at this stage. Notwithstanding recent volatility, which is partly driven by global developments and also partly driven by stellar gains of the previous years.
Well, after the Reserve Bank, SEBI is all set to get a Finance Ministry bureaucrat. Finance Secretary Tuhin Kanta Pandey will take over from Madhi Puri Butch, who ends an efficient but tumultuous 3-year tenure at the market regulator. Pandey has also served as the Secretary of the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, or DPAM. He was instrumental in the privatization of Air India and the initial public offering of LIC. Pandey has also been Joint Secretary in the Planning Commission as well as in the Cabinet Secretariat. He has also worked in administrative roles in the Odisha state government. Speaking to the media on the announcement, the finance bureaucrat said that he is yet to take over the new role.
I just got the order yesterday, and the government has given the responsibility. I'll go there and join. I'll just make out, when I will go. Thank you.
So when is the last day then? Do you have any clarity over here?
No, not yet. I think yesterday got the order. Thank you.
So what would be challenging
Priority areas, what will be priority areas?
No, as I said that I'm yet to join, so let me take over and will let you know.
Well, of course, the mystery over the name of the next SEBI chairperson finally cleared, with Mr. Tuhin Kanta Pandey's name getting through. Current Finance Secretary with Government of India, Tuhin Kanta Pandey also served as the Secretary of DIPAM, which is our Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. Madhvi's last working day would be today, that is February 28th, and the last day technically on paper would be March 1st, which would be a Saturday. Now, a lot of structural reforms were undertaken in the last 3 years, from tighter FNO guidelines to insider trading regulations, from work done in the primary market side to regulations on financial influencers. The latest one being the launch of Choti SIP, or the 250 rupees SIP. Many things done, but equal number of things still remain to be done by the incoming SEBI chairman, that is Tuhin Kanta Pandey. The topmost would be reviewing the mutual fund expense ratio, to considering instantaneous settlement in the Indian capital markets, from allowing ownership of fractional shares to Indian investors, to considering NSE's IPO, if that application comes through again to the new SEBI chairperson. These would be just some of the many things where SEBI chairman, the new SEBI chairman, Tuhin Kanta Pandey, will have to hit the ground running.
Right, Yash, thanks so much for that. Now, the board of the Employees Provident Fund Organization has recommended keeping the interest rate on employee provident funds for FY25 unchanged. This has dampened EPFO subscribers' expectations of a higher interest rate. This rate follows a gradual decrease from higher rates in the past years. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi met European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi to discuss the India-EU strategic partnership. After holding talks, both sides agreed to finalize a long-pending free trade agreement by the end of this year. The leaders also vowed to strengthen ties in defense and critical technologies.
EV बैटरीज, मरीन प्लास्टिक्स और ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन में जॉइंट रिसर्च किया जाएगा। साथ ही सस्टेनेबल अर्बन डेवलपमेंट पर हम अपने जॉइंट प्लान को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। कनेक्टिविटी के क्षेत्र में इंडिया, मिडिल ईस्ट, यूरोप इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर यानी आईमेक उसे आगे ले जाने के लिए ठोस कदम उठाए जाएंगे।
We will work together on economic growth. The potential is immense. Europe is already India's biggest trading partner. Now we have tasked our teams to build on this momentum and finalize our free trade agreement before the end of the year. We're expecting a lot of our trade negotiators. We told them they should surprise us.
Now, Ukraine President Zelensky is set to meet President Trump at the White House. The US president hints at signing with Ukraine a deal that would offer America easy access to a bonanza of rare earth minerals. More details in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC TV18's news and updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Geo Hotstar. Now, the leaders in the consumption sector are seeing signs of recovery in demand and are being optimistic. Marico Managing Director Saugata Gupta expects urban consumption to stabilize and is optimistic that urban demand will improve in the next few quarters. Meanwhile, the top management at TTK Prestige and Vijay Sales and DLF Malls believe that the recovery has already begun.
Over the last couple of quarters, rural is improving. Urban consumption has been stressed. Having said that, we believe that the worst is over. It will gradually improve. Obviously, the improvement will not be, like a hockey stick kind of a U-turn, but it will improve definitely. Now, I think as far as Marico is concerned, 2-3 things I would say was slightly different. One is, of course, our significant focus on our diversification and transformation of our portfolio to make it future ready.
We have grown the business. We've grown the business, not double digits, but certainly very high single digit.
Right.
So all I can tell you is that, yes, there was a little slowdown when it came to, say, the heat wave or around the general elections or because of various GRAP that got established. So there was a little bit of a bump. But the market has grown up again. Since November, we are seeing green shoots again.
I think there's been a little bit of a muted demand so far, but we do see signs of recovery. And towards the last part of the year, we are seeing signs of walk-ins increasing and recovery happening. We do believe that's good for the next year. At an industry level, over a couple of years where we've been a little muted on growth, we are seeing growth coming back. I do believe that the industry is coming back to positive growth, and most of the players have now started tracking positive growth as well.
In fact, this has been one of the best February month which we have seen. So it's a clear-cut indication that we are in for a great summer sales and a great summer season, in spite of the fact that last year was one of the best seasons. So we are expecting a 5 to 7% growth. And please do not take it as a single unit growth, because last year was a phenomenal year. So if we are able to grow even 1 or 2%, it would be great, and 5 to 7 would be just magical number.
And staying with the FMCG space, Big Basket is set to foray into 10-minute food delivery, leveraging the Tata Group's F&B brands, starting with Starbucks. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, the CEO, Hari, mentioned that the company will start delivering food and beverages from Starbucks as early as next week. He added that the Tata Group has not raised concerns about Big Basket's growth in the quick commerce space, contrary to reports.
It's a completely incorrect report, and I don't think whatever you read in that ET is correct at all. Right? There is no concern that Tatas have, and I'm being very open and upfront about it. Launching Starbucks next week, which is about 4 or 5 days away. I go back and we'll have Starbucks going live.
Right.
We're also in discussion with Cumin. Cumin is the food products that come from Taj. That's the other thing that we are working on launching.
10, 15 minutes.
All 10 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
10 minutes is what we will do for these two categories.
Now, Ukrainian President Zelensky is headed for the United States to meet U.S. President Donald Trump. The Ukrainian leader is expected to sign a deal to give USA access to Kyiv's deposits of rare earth minerals. Zelensky has said that he hopes the preliminary agreement with the U.S. will lead to further deals. However, no American security guarantees have been agreed upon as of yet. Meanwhile, Trump has vowed that America will dig their hearts out in the region.
The relationship between President Zelensky and President Putin is not a good one. You've noticed, right? It's not a good one. It's not a good relationship. And we're going to have to try and work something out. Sometimes that happens. I get along with both. I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky. And now we're doing the deal, and we're going to be in there. We're going to be actually in there and digging our hearts out. And hopefully, we need the rare earth, and we have some here, but we don't have enough. Our economy is very strong.
Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer met the U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House. Trump said that USA could end up with a real trade deal with the UK, where tariffs wouldn't be necessary, adding that he's confident that Russia's President Putin can be trusted to not breach any agreement on Ukraine. And speaking of Trump, the U.S. president has said that 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods will come into effect from the 4th of March. He also confirmed that the 10% tariffs on Chinese goods will be doubled from the very same day. This did not bode well with China and Canada. China's Commerce Ministry said that it firmly opposes the tariff announcement and that it vowed to retaliate as necessary. It also urged the Trump administration to not repeat its earlier mistakes. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warned that Canada will have an extremely strong response if unjustified tariffs are imposed on the country. And an Israeli team is headed to Cairo to resume ceasefire talks with Hamas before the expiration of first stage of truce on March 2nd. Israel is looking to extend the first phase of the ceasefire instead of starting a new one. Both sides have accused each other of repeated violations during the ceasefire. Ahead of renewed talks, 600 Palestinian prisoners and detainees were on Wednesday, while Hamas handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages. 22 construction workers remain trapped under snow after an avalanche hit Uttarakhand's Chamoli district. 32 have been rescued. Poor visibility and continuous snowfall have disrupted rescue operations. The avalanche was triggered after a glacier burst near Badrinath Dam. Apple's new iPhone 16e goes on sale starting today. On the sidelines of this highly anticipated launch in India, my colleague Shabani Gharat caught up with Bob Bosches, Vice President of Worldwide Product Marketing at Apple, in an exclusive conversation at Apple's BKC store. Take a look.
Give us an understanding on what kind of demographic are you planning to target with this new device, which is 16e, especially for the India market?
Yeah, iPhone 16e extends the iPhone 16 family, so there's even more choice, which is great because our customers can now choose the iPhone that's perfect for them. And with iPhone 16e, you get the latest generation of iPhone 16 experience at an incredible value. So we think it's going to be great for folks who maybe have an older iPhone and are ready to have a significant upgrade, or people coming to the platform for the first time. So we really do think iPhone 16e is going to be a huge hit here in India.
Bob, also give us an understanding of the growing significance of the India market in your global strategy.
Well, India is an incredibly dynamic and it's an important market to us. It's a place where we know mobile communications is critical and people want to be able to have an amazing experience with the products that they're carrying with them every single day. And so that's why it's really important for us to make sure that when we come to India, that we're doing it with an amazing product that's locally relevant. And 16E, we feel, is great that way. We're bringing Apple Intelligence to India starting in April. That's going to be a phenomenal opportunity because we're bringing in a localized version of English to India with Apple Intelligence. We're bringing 10 new languages to India that will reach 90% of the population here.
Well, private funding in India's social sector is expected to grow by 10 to 12% annually in the next 5 years. This is as per the India Philanthropy Report from Dasra and management consultancy Bain & Co. My colleague Rachna Dhanrajani spoke to Neera Nandi, the co-founder of Dasra, to find out about the key trends emerging in India's philanthropic landscape.
We're recognizing that there's more and more of a role that families play. So just carving out this space, like what is family philanthropy and how that's different from CSR and government spending and retail philanthropy. And the most exciting part here is there's a lot of promise. Families are actually going to change the philanthropic landscape with the quantum and the amount that they're giving, but also how they're giving.
Right. One very interesting finding that really caught my eye was that 55% of these family offices are led by women. How would you basically describe women's participation in this particular sector, especially where we live in a world where we're actually encouraging more women participation in other fields, but here clearly women are leading the way?
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever's listening and you're a woman leading your philanthropy, we need them to be speaking out to how their approach actually is different. But the exciting part of what we're seeing is there's both a transfer of wealth to women because they're living longer, but also within families, women are starting to hold this baton. And so they're making decisions about where philanthropy can go.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates will continue right here on CNBC-TV18.